It's a little, I don't know. I've never considered this. I think it's embarrassing because I considered it the opposite direction, where if the mother is metabolically unhealthy, the baby is also going to be very metabolically unhealthy. For example, if she's got gestational diabetes, if she already had type 2 diabetes, she's already insulin resistant, you're going to pass that along to the baby, who's going to think, not think, but it is going to like be, created in a world where there must be tons of, carbohydrate, sugar, energy. So we need to also be insulin resistant. That baby's going to be more likely to be insulin resistant. I never thought about it in the opposite direction until I found your content of like working out and being healthy works the opposite direction, where the baby's actually going to be much, much healthier in a positive direction. I'd never considered that before your work. And so can you explain a little bit more into that? I know you just kind of covered it a little bit there, but like, how is it that exercising, we might think like stressing the body during this, maybe sensitive time is actually doing so much good for the baby itself?
Yeah, so it's one of the things that we don't I never thought about it either until I was researching for my book, and I was like, of course. Like,
Oh
of
yeah, of
course. Like,
course.
we all believe the opposite, like you were saying. Like, if you have complications, it's going to impact your baby's development. And that's not to like blame somebody or to put that on them or anything, but like if you have preeclampsia or hypertension, it's going to impact your placenta potentially, which could impact your baby's development, which is why induction is usually recommended. So why would we not believe that the opposite also happens? I remember when I was in like middle school or high school and you're doing like biology, they're talking about genetics. They're like, oh, you can't inherit your parents' biceps. So just because your mom like exercises doesn't mean like you're gonna have big muscles. Yes, you can. Yes, you can actually. Like if I exercise during my pregnancy, it benefits my baby. They essentially work out as well. So the mechanics of it are like not well understood because women are just not included in research studies, especially pregnant women. So, but the theory is, well, if we are introducing this exercise-induced stress, this is a different type of stimulus that our baby is responding to. And the more type of stimulus that you introduce to a baby, the more their brain develops, the more neurons that fire and connect to one another. And so if you just think about the first year of life, all of like the parenting stuff is like show them this book that's black and white to stimulate their brain, to give them these toys. And so it's all about like introducing different stimulus to them to help develop them in the first year of life. Well, why couldn't I do that during pregnancy? Why why would that not be something that they are taking on as they are developing during their pregnancy? And then if you think about if I have when I'm exercising, this is increasing my blood volume. This is increasing my muscular mass. This is increasing like how my body is responding to different nutrients. So why would it not also be helping my baby as well? So that's where I think like the cognitive development and the nervous system development comes from is we are introducing exercise-induced stress during pregnancy in a controlled way that is introducing different type of stimulus to baby and it's increasing those different neuron connections and yeah, so that's like that part. When we are exercising more, this is also going to improve your placenta development, which is huge. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that helps with babies like physical development. So your placenta is going to be larger and it's going to have more functional capacity. Your placenta is essentially like the organ that does all of the things for your baby. It's their immune system, it's where they're breathing from. So their oxygen is being pushed to them, it's pulling the CO2 away from baby, it's removing all the metabolic waste, it's nourishing them. Like the placenta is doing so much for our baby. And so when it's operating really, really well, this baby's gonna be really oxygenated. It's getting all of the nutrients, it's getting all of the benefits from us. And it's also all the bad stuff is being taken away from them in a really effective way. If you exercise in the first half of your pregnancy and you maintain that moderate intensity level, this is going to most positively impact your placenta's development. Now, if you are like, well, my first trimester sucks, I'm like really sick and tired, you still got like 8 weeks after the first trimester to really support your placenta's development as well. So if the first trimester sucks, like it does for me, you still got like a good amount of time after you feel a little bit better to really get after it in the gym. You got 2 months right there to start getting after it. If you go into pregnancy and a higher level of conditioning, those like 1 to 2 months that you take off in the first trimester will not be as dramatic. Like you'll have more conditioning to kind of fall back onto when you resume in the second trimester to really support that placenta development in the first half of pregnancy. So if you can maintain that moderate intensity, it's going to improve the size of your placenta, its functional capacity, which is probably the biggest reason why your risk of developing preeclampsia is probably a lot lower. That can be related to the placenta. Your risk of your baby being too small, so intrauterine growth restrictions, this is when your baby is way too small for whatever size they're supposed to be. That's also related to the placenta. Something's going on with the placenta, that baby is not receiving the nutrients that they need. So this is a really big deal as well. And I think that's something that plays a huge role in why these babies have higher blood volume, why they're leaner when they're born, why they have these higher APGAR scores, or like initial tests that they do to assess babies' well-being when they're born. And that all happens for moms that are exercising during their pregnancy, which is like pretty incredible.
That's amazing. It's again, it's like you said, like it's so obvious when you consider it. I just have never considered it until you said that. So yeah, I love that. I love thinking about that. It makes perfect sense. Like I said, when we're talking about exercise, I like that you kind of have a pretty wide definition of exercise. I didn't have to ask you what you define as exercise, because maybe it was a too simplified question to ask. Like it's exercise, exercise. Get your heart rate up, get moving. There's lots of different things you can do. What are some of your favorites through the different phases of pregnancy, prenatal? Let's start with kind of those phases. I'm assuming it's more along the lines of strength training.
Yeah, it is. I would say, like, in general though, whatever exercise you like. If you like walking, walk. Like,
Start there.
I never want to tell somebody that they need to do something in a certain way just because I like it, if they don't like that. If they're like, well, I don't really like doing that, or I don't really like lifting weights, or I don't like doing that, because then it's just going to deter them from doing it altogether. So at the bottom line is, whatever movement you like to do that you enjoy, that you can motivate yourself to do that. And if it looks different from what I would do, that's fine. Now, I very firmly believe that there's a lot of benefits to strength training, even during pregnancy, especially in the postpartum, and especially as women, because it's not something that we are commonly taught to do. Like, usually, like, maybe you join a CrossFit gym, maybe you just happen to like figure out lifting, you watch enough videos, but it's something that's incredibly beneficial for us, especially as we age. And one of my like favorite things is, like, I'm not training for my summer body, I'm training for my old lady body. Like, one of the things that is like potentially going to kill you along the line is falling. And if your bones are not very strong, they're going to break. And then that's how people die when they're old. And that's really sad and tragic. So now during pregnancy, one of the things that happens is we have a lot more laxity within our joints. And that extra laxity can sometimes cause more pain. We have more mass during pregnancy, regardless if you gain no other weight other than your baby and your placenta and all your blood volume, you will gain weight during pregnancy, at least like 10 to 15 pounds, at least. That's still more mass than you had before. And because of that, we need to be strong so that we're not in pain during pregnancy. And so we get a lot of folks that are like, hey, I have tons of pelvic pain. What stretch should I do? Or my back hurts, or this hurts, or this hurts. What should I do? And I'm like, look, I can give you a stretch that is not going to help you. You need a strength train. Like, you have too much movement happening. And the reason why you're in pain is because you're collapsing into positions because you don't have the strength to maintain an upright position. You don't have the strength to change positions. Like, we need to strengthen our muscles to help. And that's one of the things that helps a lot of our clients that have pelvic pain, that have lower back pain, upper back pain, is strength training, like hands down. Strength training it's just so beneficial. Please do it. And we can do it safely during pregnancy. There's lots of ways to modify. You don't have to do like 1 rep maxes for every lift that you do. That's not beneficial for anybody. But during pregnancy, again, we can focus on that 70-80% effort level during the first and second trimester. We can think about making space for the belly. So if you're doing your deadlift and your belly's hitting your thighs and it feels uncomfortable, just widen your stance. Elevate the bar. Can we bring the bar up a little bit higher? We have all sorts of modifications for lifts in my book, Training for Two, on our YouTube channel, in our fitness programs. Like, we tell you, hey, these are the 10 modifications that you can do for the deadlift. One of them is going to feel amazing for you and your body, and you should do that one. We can still, and weights, resistance training isn't just weights, it's also bands. It's really anything that's an external resistance. And we use tons of bands within our programming as well. But when we're lifting weights, we're just going to think about, can I maintain 70-80% effort level? So it's a good challenge. Like, I feel like I can do like 8 to 10 reps before I'm like, that's a lot of reps. I don't want to do that anymore. But we want to maintain really good form the whole time. So we're focusing a little bit more on strict movements, maybe not as many like dynamic, really jumpy, like Olympic lifts. It's like squats, deadlifts, strict press. Very like strict movements, because if we have too much movement, it can sometimes increase injury. or decrease like the quality of your form. When we're doing our lifts, we should feel like we can maintain really good form. It's still very challenging for you. We're making space for the belly. So maybe we're widening our stance and then we add support. And so if you're like, my back kind of hurts at the bottom of the squat, squat to a box, decrease the range of motion. I feel like I can't quite reach the floor with my deadlift, elevate the barbell, put them on some plates, put them on some boxes so it's a little bit higher. There's all sorts of different modifications that we can do to make movements comfortable for us during pregnancy, but resistance training is going to be the one thing that's going to keep you comfortable. If you're having pelvic pain, you're having back pain, there's not a stretch that is really going to make it for you. Like we need to lift some weights, and it's going to be helpful for you postpartum too. Babies are heavy and they get heavier every day. Hopefully they get heavier every day. And my babies are all like little leeches where they're like suck on me and they're like they do not want to ever let go, and I need to carry them for like 3 years and they're heavy. And so being able to like carry your baby around and do things and to get up and off the floor easily is a big deal postpartum. And the way that you're going to do that is by lifting weights. That's how you get
Love that.
stronger. Now, obviously, like cardio and stuff is great. Like we should totally do that as well. But I would highly recommend like getting into some sort of lifting routine. There's tons of videos on YouTube. Like we have a YouTube channel that has like prenatal workouts as well. Like there's lots of free options out there. There's also paid offerings that are going to be more comprehensive, like paying for a trainer. But bottom line, if I get to tell you what to do, I'm going to tell you to lift weights. And we have clients that join our gym that have never lifted weights before at the beginning of their pregnancy. They're like, hey, I heard that this was good for me. And by the end of their
My
pregnancy, they're like,
favorite.
all my friends are complaining about back pain and pelvic pain, and I feel great. And I think it's because I'm lifting weights. And I'm like, it is. Tell them to join the gym.